Okay, so in today's lesson we're just going to start doing more simultaneous equations involving quadratics. So the first one we're going to do is question 18, which is x minus 2y equals 0 and x squared plus y squared equals 20. So what we can do here is view, and we can parent background here. And what we can do is just write down this question here, okay? So the question is going to be x minus 2y equals 0, and then x squared plus y squared equals 20. Okay, now that we've done that, we're now going to try and solve this, okay? Now there's two types of equation here, and the first one is the linear. The linear one is the one that has no squares in it and no x multiplied by y's. So this one here is the linear, and the second one is known as the quadratic, okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to get one letter on its own using the linear, okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to get x equals 2y. So we're going to get this by moving the 2y over. So x equals 2y. Once we solve the linear, we're then going to substitute x into the quadratic, okay? So anywhere we see x, we're now going to replace it with 2y. So what we're going to get is 2y bracket squared plus y squared equals 20. Okay, and what's going to happen here is we're going to get 4y squared, because 2y multiplied by 2y is 4y, which in turn is 4y squared. Then 4y squared plus y squared equals 20. Now what can happen here is we add them together, we get 5y squared equals 20. Divide both sides by 5, so y squared equals 20 over 5. Y squared equals 4. Now remember, it can be plus or minus, so when you get the square root of 4, you got to remember that y can be plus or minus 2. So y can be 2 or y can be minus 2, because minus 2 by minus 2 also gives you 4. Now that we've calculated the y values, we also must calculate the x values. So in order to do this, what we need to do is we need to bring this down. X equals 2y, just please keep that in mind. So x equals 2y, so therefore when y is 2, x is going to be 2 times plus 2, which makes x 4. And when y is minus 2, it's going to be 2 times minus 2, which makes, so when y is minus 2, x is going to be 2 times minus 2, which will give us x equals minus 4. You can also write these answers in pied form, where you say 4, 2, and minus 4, minus 2 are the solutions to this question. Okay, so the next question involves solving this one, okay? So we got to solve this question. And in order to solve this question, what we need to do is we need to get x on its own. X is already on its own, therefore we need to substitute x into the quadratic equation. Okay, so this one's the linear, and this one's the quadratic. Okay, and what happens here is we sub the linear into the quadratic, so we end up getting 3 minus y squared minus y squared plus 3 equals 0. Now we're going to square out this, and we're going to get 3 minus y into 3 minus y. So we're just going to stay with this part here, okay, until we square it out. So then once we square this out, what we're going to get is we're going to get 3 into 3 minus y into 3 minus y. And then when we go down further down, we're going to get 9 minus 3y plus y squared. Okay, and now we can bring down this part that we were just previously ignoring. So we bring down this and we get minus y squared plus 3 equals 0. Now what we need to do is we need to solve this equation. The y squares are actually going to cancel each other, and what we're going to end up with is 9 plus 3 is 12. 12 minus 6y equals 0. Bring the 6y over to the other side and we get 12 equals 6y. What we can do here is we can spin this. What I mean by spin is change the equal sign and switch sides. Okay, spin our switch, and then we're going to get y equals 12 over 6, y equals 2. Now there's only one solution to this, y equals 2, and then we're going to go back up, and then we have to figure out what x is. So x is 3 minus y, which means x is going to be 3 minus 2, and x is going to be equal to 1. So the answer to this question is going to be 1, 2. Now, for the following graph, what I'm going to try and do is I'm going to try and determine what the 2 points of intersection are, these 2 points here. Now, in order to do this, we need to identify this here is the equation of a line, alright? It's basically equivalent to y equals 2x minus 3. So as you can see, f of x is represented by a straight line, while g of x is represented by the curve, okay? Now what we need to do is we need to find out the points at which the line intercepts the curve, okay? So what happens is this is going to happen at points that are common to both the curve and the line. So what we can do is we can write down curve equals the line. So the y values of the curve equals the y values of the line. So what this is going to end up as is 2x minus 3 ends up to be equal to 9 plus x minus x squared. Okay. Now, with this in mind, we need to solve this equation, okay? So what we can do is we can take all the numbers over one side and 3. So what we're going to be left with is we're going to have x squared. Then we're going to have this going to turn to minus 1x. There's a plus 2x there. And then there's a minus 3 and a minus 9 equals 0. Then we're going to have x squared minus 1x minus 12 equals 0. Now we can solve this equation using two methods. We could use the minus b formula, where a equals 1, b equals 2, b equals minus 1. So b equals minus 1, and c equals minus 12. Or we can do the reference number method. So for this particular example, I'm going to go for the reference number method, okay? So the reference number method involves multiplying the first number by the last number. So what the reference number here is going to be minus 12. So we multiply the first number by the last number, and we get a reference number of minus 12. Minus 12 we're going to break up into its factors, which are 4 and 3. One of them has to be a minus. Let minus 4 be a negative, okay? So we're going to get 1x squared plus 3x minus 4x minus 12 equals 0, because the middle number has to break up into 3 and 4x respectively. Okay, with this in mind, what we're going to do next is we're going to get x squared minus 1x minus x squared. We're going to factorize the first two, okay, because they join together. So x is in common in the first one, so take out x, and you're going to be left with x plus 3. What a common multiple of 4 and 12 is 4, okay? And we want this to be x plus 3, because the first and second bracket are always the same. So therefore we can put a minus 4 in there, okay? Then we're going to get x minus 4 into x plus 3 equals 0. Okay? Now, we split it down the middle. So this means either the first number, when two numbers are multiplied together to give you 0, either the first number equals 0 or the second number will equal 0. So this means that x must be equal to minus 3 or x equals 4. Now, in this question, we were asked to find the points. 4 is only one part of the point. We actually need to find the other part, and minus 3 is one part of a point. So what we had to do is we had to get the y values, okay? And what we know from the start of the question is that the y values are 2x minus 3 when it's on the line. And we have to remember is it obeys both the curve and the line. Therefore, if we calculate the point using this equation, it will calculate the y values, okay? So what we'll do is we'll drag this down here to the very bottom, and we'll use this equation here to determine what the y values are. So we're first going to test x equals 4, okay? So when x equals 4, we're going to find out what the y value is. So when x equals 4, y is equal to 2 times 4 minus 3, which is going to be 8 minus 3, which is equal to 5. That means the first point is 4, 5. The second point is going to be y equals 2 times minus 3 minus 3. And this value is going to be minus 9. So the 2 points are minus 3, minus 9, and 4, 5 respectively. Now we shall see how these values match up into the diagram, okay? So we're going to go back for the transparent background. So you can see that if we do this quite quickly, okay, 4, 5 is going to be up here, okay? So 4, 5 is located up here, and minus 3 minus 9 is going to be located this far back. So this is going to be minus 3 minus 9. And that is our answer to this question. Okay. Okay, so for this question here, question 24, we have to solve for x and y, where y equals 10, y is going to be equal to 10 minus 2x, and x squared plus y squared equals 25. Then we're asked to find, this is part 1, and then we're asked to find two possible values for x cubed plus y cubed. Okay. So with this in mind, we'll go on to our question and we'll try and solve this out. Now, as discussed before, the top one is the linear, and the linear is already very much solved for you, okay? So all we got to do is substitute the linear into the quadratic. So we're going to replace this y, so the 10 minus 2x is going to replace the y's position, okay? So what we're going to get is we're going to get x squared plus 10 minus 2x squared equals 25. So we're just going to briefly take 10 minus 2x into the corner and square it out. And when we square it out, we're going to get the following. We're going to get 10 into 10 minus 2x minus 2x into 10 minus 2x. And then what we should get here is 100 minus 20x minus 20x plus 4x squared. Once that's done, we're going to get 4x squared minus 40x plus 100. Okay, so we can substitute that in very neatly. Okay, so x squared minus 40x, so x squared plus, and this here changes into this here. So we're going to get plus 4x squared minus 40x plus 100 equals 25. Now, we're going to bring everything over. So the 25 is going to come over here. So what we're going to end up with is 5x squared 5x squared minus 40x, and this is going to turn into minus 25, which is going to give us plus 75. equals to 0. Okay. Now, I could think about doing the reference number here, but this time around, I'm actually going to go with the minus b formula. Okay, just to guarantee I get the answer, because sometimes getting the factors of a really big number can be quite difficult. Okay, so you can make your choice. This time around, I'm going to go with the minus b formula. Okay, so in order to do the minus b formula, when you look up your tables, what you're going to find is the following equation: ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. So I'm going to say a equals 5, b equals minus 40, and c equals 75. Then what I can do from there is I can now do the minus b for minus b plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Okay, so what we can do here is the following. We can say that it's minus 40 is going to be plus 40. This is going to be plus or minus the square root of minus 40 squared minus 4 times 5 times 75 all over 2a. Now, when we're doing these, we're just going to put this part directly into the calculator exactly as it looks, okay? So we should be able to get an answer straight out of this. And as it turns out, it's going to be the square root of 100, which in fact is going to be equal to 10. So what we're going to get is plus 40 plus or minus 10 divided by 10. So the answer is going to be 40 plus 10 over 10, which is 50 over 10, which it means x is going to be equal to 5, or x is going to be equal to 40 minus 10 over 10, which means x is equal to 30 over 10, which means x is going to be equal to 3. Now, we have to get the y values at the end, alright? So we know y equals 10 minus 2x. So what we can do here is when x is 5, we'll signify this via green. 10 minus 2 times 5. This means that y equals 10 minus 10, which means y equals 0 when x equals 5. The next one we can do is when x equals 3. So when x equals 3, y is equal to 10 minus 2 times 3. Y equals 10 minus 6. And y equals 4. Now, this brings us to the part 2 of the question, where we're basically asked to find two possible values of x cubed plus y cubed. Okay? So what we're going to do here is we're going to first of all test these two values. Okay, so it's going to be x cubed plus y cubed. And what we're going to get is 5 times 5 to the power 3 plus 0 to the power 3. And this answer is going to be 125. But we also need to test out the black box answer, which is the x equals 3 and x equals 4. So what we can do here is we can say 3 cubed plus 4 cubed. And we can find out what the answer is for this one. And it's going to be 3 to the power 3 plus 4 to the power 3. And that's going to be 91 equals 91. And that is the end of this lesson.